Why bats?
Bats frighten me. It's time my enemies shared my dread.
Hello and welcome to Cinema Enigma. Today we are going to talk about the episode 6 of Rings of Power. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and let's dive in and see what happened in this episode. Well, firstly, let me tell you that personally, I was one of those people who told a lot of shady stuff about the show and called it Rings of Bullshit. But secretly in the back of my mind, I was really waiting for the show to start getting better. But it doesn't. As heartbreaking as it sounds, it doesn't get better at all. It is still inaccurate, which is outrageous, because it's a prequel. The one thing you have to do is to be loyal to the main story. But what they do instead is passing the stage of disappointment and getting funny. Just watching them try to outdo the original book and instead trapping themselves in inaccurate plots is becoming more and more hilarious. First off, the pace is so weird. I cannot even label it as slow or fast. Well, we all know that they are compressing thousands worth of events into a couple of years. Although I think it was one of the worst things they could do to the original story, yet I tried to adapt myself to it. But even with that, they're still screwing the pace of the show up. Some scenes are dragged on for too long, like some excessive traveling scenes we see all over the show, making the show feel so slow. And then sometimes, even when showing an important plot, they just don't put enough effort. It feels rushed. Take Elendil's trial, for example. To be honest, I consider the acting and partially the plot of things going on in Numenor a little bit better. But the trial scene and the whole Muriel showing up and stepping in is very rushed. They don't completely clarify her motivation, and in general, it is very confusing. They could have done so much more with this one, and well, they just didn't. Oh, and also, now that I'm talking about things happening in Numenor, what's up with Elendil's daughter that I can't even remember her name? She is becoming one of the key characters in Numenor, and yet she is very confusing. She looks like she is just there to randomly do things in favor of showing what other characters are doing. She acts very unpredictable. I mean, I was following up with the fact that she went and joined King's Men, and now she's starting to act like she is with faithfuls. They could just show that she is worried about her father, but they went beyond and again ruined someone's character. And you know, as a ridiculously high-budget show that has only 2 episodes until the end of season 2, we expect the show to move forward, but it doesn't. This one felt like an episode for old conflict or maybe a little bit of future plans, but the show's plot didn't move forward significantly. You could see a lot of tension and action, but nothing really happened, and I don't think even the action scenes were good. It looks like the show cares about a cool-looking show more than the actual development of the story. There are fighting and action scenes all over. Like the whole part Arondir played in this episode was fighting orcs, and that's it. They wanted to give him the map, but I guess they couldn't do it in the next episode to develop his story more. He didn't even have a line. They just create a fight scene to avoid giving him like a 10-second scene, and that wasn't even necessary at this point. And please tell me I'm not the only one that wants to kill this Myrdonia girl. It is almost funny how self-centered she is. She thinks she is so right that if Celebrimbor shouts at her, it must be because he is losing his mind, not because some idiot can't do her job. Imagine gaslighting your boss into losing their mind every time they get mad at you. Maybe she is a genius after all. And speaking of gaslight, we can see that Sauron is gaslighting the shit out of Celebrimbor, turning everyone against him, making him think he is losing it, and then again reminding him that he is in the right mind, which he is doing such a good job in that. He works his way up to this moment to outcast him and takes his place in Eregion, and he does finally become fully in charge of the city without anyone suspecting or objecting him. The timing was really perfect. I give the show that. But again, the show doesn't really clarify the power of Sauron. We still have no idea what he is capable of. I mean, at the beginning of season 2, we just saw him getting destroyed once, so he must be very weak. And we know for a fact that he is way weaker than Morgoth and the Sauron we see in the Third Age. But we can clearly see that he is still very powerful. Although in this episode, we can see that he cuts his hand in order to use his blood to create a stronger illusion, and so the question remains, how powerful is he right now? And of course, the show hadn't told us until now, and I don't think they ever will. But they are trying to show us the process of him becoming the Dark Lord. As we can see now, he is wearing darker clothes compared to Anatar at the beginning of his appearance. And he is becoming bolder and bolder in manipulating the elves. And about Galadriel, I don't even know if is it still necessary to talk about her or not. But they are making her more and more stupid each second, like she isn't one of the wisest and most powerful of elves. She was captured by orcs and was called a guest by Adar. And what a guest she was. She sits down with Adar with all that food that I sincerely don't want to know where it came from or what kind of meat it is. But anyway, they start to talk about the common enemy he was talking about, and she ends up telling everything he wanted to hear. In the book, we can see that even Sauron refuses to interact with Galadriel because he knows that she is smarter than this, and she is not going to fall for Sauron's schemes. And she is powerful and badass as hell, and you have no idea how much I hate the show for ruining that. Like, I could go with every flaw this show has and watch it without any burden. But seeing her caused me physical pain. Like, why did you do that to her? They take that character, that brilliant, mastermind, powerful character, and turn her into this idiot that can get manipulated by a lowly orc. A lowly orc that seems to not even know who Sauron is. Isn't that disappointing? And we get to see the Morgoth crown again, which is very surprising. Well, I should say in Tolkien's universe, Morgoth's Iron Crown was forged to hold the Silmarils, which he stole from the elves. Morgoth was rarely without this crown, and at some point, Lúthien and Beren managed to remove one of the Silmarils from it, which set off a chain of events. Following Morgoth's eventual defeat during the War of Wrath, his crown was destroyed and reforged into a collar. This collar was placed on him as a final humiliation before he was cast into the timeless void by the Valar. What's frustrating is how Rings of Power takes creative liberties with the Morgoth relic. Instead of sticking to the established backstory, the show repurposes the crown to suit its own plot twists. I mean, okay, I don't even know what to say at this point. I don't think they even care about the original story anymore. They are probably going to try and unite the power of Crown and the rings, especially now that Adar knows where the Galadriel's ring is. I'm sure you see it too. The show is full of these subplots that no one asked for, that not even are mostly unnecessary, but they are very confusing. Alongside all these inaccurate subplots about the Crown and Galadriel, and all the other subplots, we have the Harfoots too. And honestly, I don't understand why are they given this much screen time. Like they're doing nothing in favor of the show. Even if they should affect the life of Stranger, then why are they given more screen time than him? If they end up having Nori create Shire, I will scratch my eyes out. And there is something else. I'm sure a lot of you noticed there is a large-scale problem in the show. Like, given the scenes we had from the Numenor, does it look like they can raise an army of 10,000s in order to invade Middle-earth? And it's not only about the Numenorians. You can sense the same thing about elves and even orcs. It looks like the population of the whole beings in the show cannot be more than 30 to 50,000. It's just in each scene, even in the scene that looks like there should be a big crowd involved, we just get to see a few random people. Or they show how close orcs are to Eregion, near enough to take a citizen. murder him and send him back to the city. And yet they haven't been spotted, and we are not talking about a small group of them. They are supposedly an army, and no one saw them? Anyway, I think this show is too deep in its own subplots and story to fix it anymore. I hope they get to make what's remained of it better, and it is not completely impossible. Here was the 6th episode. Considering there are only 2 more episodes left, I guess we see more actions made in the future episodes, so stick around until then. Thank you for watching this video. If you liked it, make sure to hit the like button, and please share your ideas with us about this episode in the comment section. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more videos.